Righto, here's version 9 of my untitled space game, as yet untitled. So the things I wanted to have done are fixing the aim assist to make it a bit smarter about what things to target. So here's one of the basic tutorial missions. There's a bunch of cargo containers sitting on the deck of this carrier looking thing. And previously this kind of thing would be tricky because the collision cone for the auto aim would pick up on the big environmental object at the same level of priority as it would the mission objects. But now that's all fixed. So I've turned off the sounds for the lasers because it got annoying. But so that's been good. And the other thing I've fixed is collisions with environment stuff. So I broke that at some point in the past. But now when you collide with something, you explode. As before, yeah, if two things of equal size collide, then they both explode. If a big thing collides into a smaller thing, the smaller thing gets destroyed. So yeah, that's that sorted out. Wasn't too hard. There were some fun edge cases around how the auto aim works, because the way the game determines what it should auto aim at is by looking at stuff that collides with this cone shape that projects out the front of the weapon. And if something is inside that volume, then it considers it for auto aim targets. But the shape comparison system that Godot implements provides you a pair of coordinates when it finds an intersection between two shapes. And I was using that coordinate as a target for the laser. And the laser, I do a raycast to work out exactly what I hit and to do the actual graphical effect. But the coordinate reported for the collision was right on the very edge of a shape, sometimes right on the edge of a volume. And when you cast a ray at that edge, it's a toss-up as to whether or not you actually get an intersection. Because it is sort of a glancing hit. You're down to sort of float errors as to whether or not a hit is registered. So now I've switched over to a different system where it finds the entities that are inside the cone rather than the coordinates, and so it can more intelligently tweak the contact point towards the center of the object and give you a better chance of the auto aim hitting, which is great. So now it all works pretty reliably. And next up, I want to work on some readability stuff. So right now there's a little piece of text up in the top center that says turn flowing, and then it goes to idle. Not really very instructive to anyone but someone writing software inside this framework. So I want to spend a bit of time getting the UX a bit nicer, by which I mean leaning on some sort of graphical affordances or symbolic affordances that make it a bit clearer what the game is actually doing. Because this is I'm not aware of any other game like this that uses this kind of turn-based structure where you control a unit for the duration of its turn, and then you can tab over to a different unit and control it for its duration. So I'm going to need to put a lot of thought into how I present that to the player to make sure that it makes sense to them. Because right now it's all pretty opaque, and if without some sort of explicit hand-holding tutorialization, it'll be pretty hard to pick up on and very easy to get confused and frustrated if you don't understand what's going on. So I'm thinking in service of that, I'm going to add a status bar to the top of the screen that's always there when you're in a mission that shows not only what state you're in with some better terminology rather than turn flowing or idle, and maybe a progress bar that fills up from left to right to show you how far you are through that turn interval. I think it's like 5 seconds. It is 5 seconds. I don't know why I said I think. And the other thing I want to do is improvements to the UI and just general UX for hotkeys. So right now there's a list of controls down in the bottom right hand corner that tell you what's what. But stuff like if you press tab, it jumps to the first ship that you control that has not got a turn recorded for this turn. Stuff like that will make it much faster and easier to tab through all the units in your control and assign them all orders. So yeah, I want to do basically a UX punch up to make it possible to understand what the hell's going on without being me, basically. There was a third thing I wanted to get done for this version. Ah, that's right. Improved mission logic. I threw that idea out because I don't really. I want to wait until I'm actually implementing the logic for a proper full-on tutorial, so I don't sort of over-design something that doesn't turn out to actually be useful. I think that's about it. Okay, bye bye.